Everybody talks about why you should be a homeowner and when you should buy a home and how you should buy a home, but a lot of homeowners regret their home buying decision, especially young homeowners. That's why in this video, I want to go over the reasons why you should not buy a home. What's up everybody, I am Jasprit Singh from the minorityMindset.com, where money minds rethink rich. Buying a home is not always the right answer. I mean, sometimes it's cheaper for you to rent than buy, and sometimes it's less stressful for you to rent than buy, and sometimes it's more flexible for you to rent than buy. Buying a home is a big decision, so you want to make sure you're ready to buy a home. I already made a video where I went over everything you need to know about actually buying a home. So if you want to learn more about that, I will link that video for you in the description below. But in this video, I want to talk about the reasons why you should not buy a home. I'm going to be going over the 5 reasons why you should not be buying a home. But before I get into these 5, I need you to sit back and feel at home by smashing that thumbs up button below. The first reason why you should not be buying a home is if you do not have enough money saved up in your bank account. And when I talk about your savings, I'm not talking about your down payment. I'm talking about actual savings in reserves in your savings account in cash. That way, if something were to happen, you have money to fall back on. Now, typically, you want to have at least 3 months worth of expenses saved in your bank account. So if you're spending $5,000 a month, you want to have at least $15,000 a month extra in your savings account before you even consider being a homeowner. I used to be a real estate salesperson and I'm a real estate investor. And one thing about homes is things break. And when things break, when you're the homeowner, you have to pay for it. I live in a northern home where it gets cold and it falls below freezing during the wintertime. And one of the things about the cold winters is you can see the pipes, the plumbing pipes burst because of the cold. That's exactly what happened to a rental property of mine last year. I had a home where a tenant was living and everything was fine. They had the heat on, but it was so cold that underneath the house, under the crawl space, the pipes froze and they actually burst. This was an unexpected expense. Luckily, we were able to get the water turned off quickly because the water was spraying everywhere, but it cost us thousands of dollars to fix the damage and to fix the plumbing and to put in new insulation. That way this doesn't happen again. When you're a homeowner, you have to be prepared because pipes burst, they clog, windows break, ACs bust, and furnaces go out. And when that happens, you need the cash to fall back on. And if you don't have any savings, then you're gonna have to go into debt in order to fund these repairs just because you wanted to be a homeowner. Now you're paying interest to fix your window. Before you go out and start thinking about buying a home, I need you to first save some money. That way you can afford these emergencies when they come your way. The second reason why you should not buy a home is if you cannot afford, keyword afford, the down payment. So this point is not gonna make my realtor friends or my banker friends very happy because there's a difference between being able to afford your down payment and just being able to make your down payment. If you go to a real estate agent and you tell them that you want to buy a home, they're going to try to find you the best home possible. Typically, the best home possible is also the biggest home possible, and coincidentally, the biggest home possible also gives your real estate agent the biggest check possible. So your real estate agent is in the business of trying to get you a home. Your banker's job is trying to get you finance for the home. So your banker, also like your real estate agent, does not get paid unless you actually buy the home. So your banker is going to try to do everything they can to get you a mortgage to buy a home, even if you can't necessarily afford the down payment, because the bank has a very different definition of what it means to be able to afford a down payment. Your bank's goal is to become wealthy. It's not for you to become wealthy, it's for the bank to become wealthy. And the way the banks get rich is by lending you money and having you pay interest on this money for the rest of your life. So the bank is going to try to do whatever they can to give you a loan, even if that's not necessarily the best thing for you. And your real estate agent's job is not to look out for your financial health. Your real estate agent's job is to find you a home and sell you that home. Your job is to be the one looking out for your wallet. And what a lot of people do is they rely on their real estate agent or they rely on their bank to tell them what they can afford. This is a big mistake. We saw this happen to an extreme during the 2008 crash because back then, if you wanted to buy a home, you could qualify for a ninja home. Ninja stood for no income, no job, no assets. So if you didn't have a job and you didn't have an income stream and you didn't own anything to your name, you could still qualify for a mortgage. All you had to do was go into a bank and tell them that you wanted to get a mortgage, and they'd say, great, how much money do you want? So you tell them, I want $300,000. And they tell you, no problem. We will give you the $300,000. That way you don't have to put any money down. So no down payment required. And if you sign the papers today, we'll also give you a free TV. Nowadays, you can't walk into a bank and walk out with a $300,000 mortgage without showing your income or a job. However, banks are still gonna try to do whatever they can to help you get a mortgage, even if you can't necessarily afford it. If you wanna be able to afford your down payment, you need to be putting down 20% of the home's value as the down payment. Now, I know what you're thinking. 20%? That's a lot of money. If I wanna buy a $300,000 home, that's $60,000. Yeah, I know, 20% is a lot of money, but if you wanna be able to afford the down payment, then you gotta be putting down 20%. If you don't put down 20%, then the bank is gonna hit you with extra fees and higher interest rates and PMI just because you don't have enough money to afford a 20% down payment. If you're not able to put down 20%, then the bank is going to look at you like a riskier investment, because when the bank loans out money, it's an investment. And so they look at your credit score and they look at how much money you put down, and then they rate you as an investment. Are you a safe investment or a risky investment? If you're a risky investment, that means you're not putting down 20%, then the bank has to make up for the higher risk by charging you higher fees, like a higher interest rate. So now, if you don't have 20%, you're going to have to pay more money in interest just because you didn't have enough cash to afford this 20% down payment. And the bank is also going to charge you something called PMI. PMI stands for private mortgage insurance. And essentially what it says is, because you don't have 20% down, you don't have as much skin in the game, so you're more likely to walk away from your home. And if you walk away from your home, now the bank is going to have to foreclose on you and they're going to lose money. And so when you pay this PMI, you're buying insurance, not for yourself, but for the bank. So you're paying for the bank's insurance. That way, if you do walk away from the home, the bank is protected because now they have insurance that you're paying for. If you don't put down 20%, you're buying the bank's insurance. But you can avoid paying that extra fee if you just put down 20%. So when you have enough money to afford the down payment, now you can avoid paying PMI, you can avoid paying the higher interest rates, and you also have more equity in your home. Going along with not being able to afford your down payment, you also want to make sure that you can afford your mortgage payments, your monthly payments, because like I said before, just because you can make your mortgage payment doesn't mean that you can afford it. Back when I was a real estate agent, you'd hear people talk about the 33% rule, which essentially said that you want your mortgage payment to be less than a third of your gross income before taxes. Nowadays, you hear banks talking about the 28% rule, which says you take your monthly gross income, so before taxes, and you take 28% of that. That's how much your mortgage payment should be. But this 28% rule doesn't take into factor your property taxes and insurance, so when you add it all up, it ends up being about a third of your income before taxes. So I guess things haven't really changed. So let's take a look at the numbers. Let's assume that you make $5,000 a month before taxes, and a third of your income, 33% of your gross income, is going towards your housing costs. So this is your mortgage, your property taxes, and your property insurance. That means that you're paying $1,650 a month for your mortgage, property taxes, and insurance. And let's assume that you're putting 10% of your gross income towards your savings and 10% of your gross income towards your investments. So this is a little bit less than what I recommend, but let's go with that for the sake of this example. That's another $1,000 going towards your savings and investments. And of course, you have to pay income taxes on this $5,000 because the IRS wants their cut. And if you're making $5,000 a month, that's $1,100 a month going towards your income taxes, assuming that you're not in a super high tax state like California or New York. If you spend this money on your income taxes, on your savings and investing, and then this much is going towards your housing costs, that's gonna leave you with $1,250 a month to spend on your car insurance, your car repairs, your gas, your heating, your AC, your groceries, your medical bills, your vacations, your birthdays, and everything else. The majority of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck because of how high their housing bill is. That means you don't have this $1,000 going towards your savings and investments, and you can replace that with your credit card bills and your student loan bills. So you have no money going to your savings and investments, you have more money going to all of your bills, and you have nothing left over for yourself because you're spending way too much money on your housing payments because that's what everybody thinks is normal. Now what I want you to do is stop thinking like the majority of people, because we're the minority mindset, and start thinking like the minority of people. What I want you to do to be able to afford your mortgage payment is have your mortgage payment be no more than a quarter of your total take-home pay. So if you're taking home $5,000, then your mortgage payment should not be more than a quarter of that. So you got to factor in taxes, and based off of what you keep, then your mortgage payment should not be more than 25% of your total take-home pay. If you already own a home and you feel like your mortgage payments are stretching you too thin, then you might want to consider refinancing your mortgage, because that can be a way for you to save money on your monthly mortgage payments. If you want to learn more about how to refinance your mortgage the right way and save the most money on your refinance, our team put together an awesome guide that walks you through how to refinance and how to save the most money while doing it. You can read this article on our website, theminority.mindset.com, and I'll also link it for you in the description below. Fourth, you should not be buying your home as a way to get rich. Many people have this misconception that your home is an investment. Your home is a place where you live in. It can make you money. Many people have made a ton of money by owning a home that had appreciated in value, but you should not treat your home as an investment, because if you really want to get rich and you want to do that by investing your money, you can get a much better return on your money by investing your money into an investment property instead of the home that you live in. Everybody sells the idea that the home that you live in is the best investment that you can make, because that's what makes banks money, that's what makes real estate agents money, that's what makes title companies money, and that's what helps fuel the government, because real estate is the backbone of America. So if more people are buying homes because they think it's the best investment ever, then the whole economy continues to function. However, your home is a place where you live. It is different than an investment. An investment, especially when we're talking about real estate, comes with different tax breaks, it comes with different types of income, and it comes with different benefits. The home that you live in is something that you use. Now, this is something that can make you a lot of money. If you bought your home for $250,000 and it appreciates in value over the time that you live there, and you sell it for $750,000, well, you just made $500,000 in profit. However, you don't want to buy your home with the goal of trying to get rich off of it. This is where you can get into a trap of buying a home for the wrong reasons. Are you buying a home to get rich, or are you buying a home for a place to live? Because if you buy a home with the idea that you're going to get rich off of it, it's much easier to get you to buy a home that you can't afford, with a down payment that you can't afford, with a monthly payment that you can't afford. Now, you're living in this big home, and it looks nice, it looks good on Instagram, your friends like it, but you're stretching yourself way too thin financially, and now if anything happens to the economy, or if anything happens to you financially, now you're underwater on a home that you thought was going to make you rich. Treat your home like a liability. If it makes you a lot of money, great, but you're not buying it to get rich. If you want to get rich, you should be buying an investment property, because now you're buying this property for the purpose of making money, and during the time that you own this property, you're also making income every single month through rent. Buy a home with the goal of living there, not to get rich. If you want to get rich, then invest your money instead. And number 5, you should not buy a home unless you're ready to be a homeowner. Buying a home is a big deal. You shouldn't just buy a home because your mom and dad and uncle and aunt keep saying that you should buy a home instead of just throwing all your money in rent. You need to buy a home when you're ready to buy a home. It's not always cheaper to buy a home than rent a home, especially when you factor in property taxes and insurance and maintenance costs and the opportunity cost of what you can do with the down payment. Buying a home is cool because now you can put it on Instagram and show everybody that you're finally a homeowner, but it also means you got to settle down. Are you ready to settle down in a particular location? Buying and selling a home can be expensive, and it can take a long time. So if you buy a home and then you realize you weren't ready and now you want to sell the home, it could take you 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months to actually sell the home and find a good buyer. That means your equity and your money in your home could be tied up for a long time as you're looking to sell your home, and if you have to move quickly, that could slow you down. I'm not trying to discourage you from being a homeowner. Homeownership is great, but you just got to make sure you're ready to be a homeowner. Can you afford it? Can you afford the down payment? Can you afford the monthly payment? And are you ready to settle down? If you are not ready to be a homeowner, don't go and buy a home just because everybody else is doing it. You are going to regret that decision later. Instead, rent a home, figure out where you like to live, figure out your money situation, and once you're ready to buy a home, now you can go out and find the dream home that you want and actually be able to afford it. If you enjoyed this video, here's a video that I think you'll love, and while you're at it, subscribe to our YouTube channel and join our free finance and business newsletter. And as always, keep hustling. Like 9 out of 10 millennials say that they want to be homeowners. But unlike what your cousin Bunty says, buying a home the right way isn't so simple. If it was, you wouldn't have so many home buyers regretting their decisions.